About time, let's change tack. Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has reversed his earlier position and now says he would restore petrol subsidy if elected president in 2027. He also said that the model would be targeted, capped, and budgeted, while President Tinubu has also attacked the proposal as economically misguided. And even Wike called it voodoo economics. Let's put the human side, first. Millions of Nigerians are still feeling the pressure of transport fares, food prices, and the cost of running businesses. So with Atiku coming with these arguments, is there actually an economic argument for a targeted fuel subsidy, particularly if the government can cap the costs and make the spending transparent? Looking at what Atiku is saying that he would have done, even though he campaigned that he would remove subsidy alongside would be that he would remove subsidy, fuel subsidy in 2023. How are you reading Atiku's new economic proposal?
So the question to ask is, at what point this idea come to his head? At what point?
It is musings.
They said you told us you are going to remove subsidy within the first 100 days. And you waited 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. We are just about 5 months short of an election. You are now thinking, oh, we have to bring subsidy back. I've seen his explanation. There's nothing wrong in trying to get Nigerians to buy fuel at way lower price than they are buying it now. It is something that I would love to see. But if I understand what Atiku is talking about, he is saying that they will not give marketers money, that they will give refiners, they will sell crude to refiners at subsidized rates, and then tell them you must sell to the Nigerian people at this price and this price. It's easier said than done, Brian. It's easier said than done. A refiner takes 1 million barrels from you. How do you ensure that the 1 million barrels that he has taken from you is going to refine it and sell other petrol within our country? How do you guarantee that? Who gets to monitor that? Are you simply going to set up another agency of government that will now be regulating refiners and ensure that they do not sell off the quantum of crude oil that was sold to them? Remember, they produce Jet A1, kerosene, diesel, premium motor spirits. How do you? I can tell you that a lot of Nigerians do not really care about diesel or kerosene or aviation fuel. It is PMS that they are more interested in. And these guys have obligation to produce other products, other byproducts, petrol, outside petrol, diesel, and all that. How do you ensure that everything that they take from NNPC, which is the nation's oil company, at that subsidized price will go into the Nigerian market? How do you do that? Because we've been in this situation before. When petrol was being imported by marketers who got subsidy, who are benefiting from subsidy, we had petroleum equalization fund, we had MPA, They will be there. We have DPR. In spite of that, those bureaucrats were still being compromised. And at a point in this country, when NNPC was the sole, because when there was so much corruption through this, through the subsidy regime, with people taking money to go and bring petrol and then selling off what they got with Nigerian funds, selling it off on the ICs. Buhari now decided that, okay, from now on, only NNPC will be importing petrol. And NNPC called what it was doing under recovery to bring in products and then subsidize it. They called it under recovery. They didn't like the idea of calling it subsidy, but it was subsidy all the same. What did we see? They started telling us that our consumption level was between 101 million liters a day to 110 million liters a day. Today, as we speak, our consumption level is just between 48 million to 50 million. Whereas it used to be more than double that. Because once Nigerians saw that, oh, this is an opportunity to make good money, they started cheating the system. They started gaining the system. The pot was being imported, was being inflated, terribly inflated, so that they can make money. The removal of subsidy effectively put an end to these things. The consumption level naturally drops because they were lying about the consumption level from the beginning. So my worry is that Atiku will replace the old subsidy regime and its corruption with a fresh subsidy regime that will be potentially even more corruption ridden than what used to be there. Because whatever agency that is going to set up to do that will be conniving with the refiners. And the refiners will sell some of what they got to the international markets at the price, at the rock bottom price, and the rock bottom price structure that Nigeria has put in place. They will sell to the international market. You cannot stop them from doing that. There will be a lot of corruption about it. I appreciate the fact that yes, our people are going through a lot and that they need to do something about it, but we will need Atiku to sit down and break it down so that we will know exactly what he's talking about. He has already said that he will not give marketers money, that he will give crude at a subsidized price, and that they too must sell at a subsidized price. How do you regulate? How do you ensure that that is the case? I'm confident that if they do that, it will succeed in the first few months.
Yeah.
After a while, corruption will step in and Nigerians will begin to steal from that kind of a system that Atiku wants to put in place. And it also has the capacity to reduce our earnings because petrol is tied to the dollarized price regime. Given the level of consumption in our country, if we bypass the old pricing structure. It also has the potential to reduce our earnings. No doubt about that. That is the truth.
That's right.
So that is my own major issue. It is whether he has tried to explain that no, I'm not bringing back subsidy in the way people think, but it is subsidy all the same. There's no other
Subsidy,
way.
subsidy.
It is subsidy all the same. Whether you say they should take crude oil and sell at a subsidized price to refiners, and that the refiners should now also sell at subsidized price to Nigerians. Subsidy is back. Once you do that, subsidy is back. There are no two ways about it. There's no way you can explain that away. It is bringing back subsidy.
Hmm.
And it raises the question, why didn't you think of this in 2022 when you were insisting that subsidy had to go?
Hmm.
We could have thought about this. Why did it take 3.5 years? We are approaching an election.
They have
He knows
to
that he
hold the
is
product
targeting the
together.
ordinary people because this interview was conducted in Hausa anyway. So it was targeting the masses. And you can see that he has shown some level of confusion in the APC camp because this was not what they expected to hear. And they know that a lot of people could be sold on this idea, which could hurt the party's chances. So you can see the anger with which even Mr. President responded to responded to what he said.
Hmm.
Because it's the sort of thing that people
People
will
like
be
to hear.
happy to hear. Yes. But it is what it is. And as we approach an election, this kind of propositions will come. But one thing is certain, I do not see any Nigerian president, even if Bola Tinubu does not get re-elected, I do not see a Nigerian president walking back on subsidy
Right.
removal. I do not see anyone walking back on subsidy removal because
Hmm.
it has now enabled us to find more money for projects and for a number of things.
Hmm.
So if you say
Right.
no, we're going back, you will lose all that money. They share 3 trillion this week. The three tiers of government, they share 3 trillion. There was a time when they were sharing 300 billion.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
now, yes,
You have more
when
money.
we had our last recession, we were not earning so much, and NNPC was even not remitting because
Hmm.
NNPC will say it has spent the money on what is it called, on subsidy.
Hmm.
NNPC was not remitting.
Hmm.
So it's
Hmm.
painful to people when the marginal amount they spend on transportation and all that. But subsidy removal has also come with some advantages. States have more funds to work with, and you can see a lot of infrastructure projects across the length and breadth of our country. But we need greater accountability. We need them to focus a lot more on those things that give joy to the ordinary people. That's
Hmm.
just the missing link in my view.
Amazing. Right. Let me take some comments before we move on. This is Money Man saying we are not moving back to subsidy era. Thomas Igbile says no amount of economic semantics by Atiku will persuade majority of Nigerian voters to accept that return to subsidy era is the best. We shall never fall for retrogressive form of economic tirades. Um, Kimbala O'Neil says former Vice President Atiku Abubakar's statement is political and deceitful. Changing back his earlier word on removal of subsidy is a campaign strategy to deceive Nigerians without giving information on how to implement it. Mohammed Sanusi says, Mr. BKO, I pray Almighty Allah will continue to expand your brain for the benefit of old and young ones. Um, Rufai Raji says the return of subsidy as raised by Atiku is a populist idea that he is using to bring back his political life. Unfortunately, the governors failed to use increased allocation to better people's welfare. Okay. Much more. We'll still have. Let me take one or two more comments. Ibrahim, Ngozi Eze says we have tried subsidy for years, and corruption became part of the story. Atiku needs to explain exactly how his version will be different. Femi Oladipo says people don't eat economics theories. Economic theories. If petrol is cheaper and transport fares come down, ordinary Nigerians will feel the difference immediately. Aisha Suleiman says the question is not whether subsidy sounds good. The question is who pays for it and how much will it cost the country. Okay, let's move on to the very last conversation, which is it's quite um this is the newest and potentially the most disturbing aspect of our conversation on issues with GD tonight. The ICPC has uncovered what it describes as another fake government agency